Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today as we talk about the importance of information governance. I'm here with Macy Grady from the IT department and our compliance officer, Reassess. I'd like to start off by first explaining what information governance is. Information governance is now an emerging discipline in healthcare, and as defined by HEMA, it is an organization-wide framework for managing information throughout its life cycle and supporting the organization's strategy, operations, regulatory, legal, risk, and environmental requirements. Macy, would you like to explain how this affects the IT department?
Yes, thank you, Tori. IT governance is a process that ensures the effective and efficient use of IT in enabling an organization to achieve its goals. It provides a structure for aligning IT strategy with business strategy. IT governance is necessary for any facility that has information technology, so this is especially useful in the health field.
That makes so much sense. I can see why IT governance would be important in a healthcare facility. It's definitely important to keep technology organized when it's dealing with EHRs and patient information.
Yes, exactly.
Before we discuss how to implement, it's important to know what IG Health Rate is. This is a tool that helps score your organization by using the 10 information governance organizational competencies. Through that, we're able to determine the most accurate depiction of the organization's current state of maturity. There are 5 levels. Level 1, at risk. This means that the IG concerns and requirements are not addressed. Level 2, aware, meaning that the organization is in the early stages of information governance. Level 3, aspirational. The essential requirements that need to be addressed are present in basic form. Level 4, aligned. The organization has established a proactive information governance program. And Level 5, actualized. This is when the organization has integrated information governance into its overall infrastructure. Now that we know how to measure where an organization is at, will there be anything that you guys plan on implementing this year?
Yes, actually, for our organization specifically, I would like to implement the Factor Analysis of Information Risk, or FAIR program. This is a tool that helps us to see our level of risk of information being exposed.
Okay, and how would you go about implementing FAIR?
The first step of implementing this would be to gain the support of the executive staff by informing them of what our organization is already doing to support IT governance and informing them that implementing FAIR would help improve our IT governance. After we assess the amount of IT governance that is already in the organization, we will then need to involve a stakeholder to see what projects are already underway and to allow them to lead in the development of the upcoming program. After a stakeholder becomes involved, this is when they and the executive staff will establish goals and priorities for their program and will determine what resources are necessary for the procedures. The next and most important step is to implement the change.
Can you kind of explain the implementation process for us?
So the first part of implementing this change will be to educate the leaders and employees of the needs, benefits, and goals of the program. In the case of IT especially, some policies and procedures may need to be created or changed to conform to the new program that is being implemented. The final step, which I would say is just as important as implementing the change, is the reassessing of the program. Our facility will need to do periodic checkups on the program to ensure that it is improving the productivity of the facility.
That sounds like a very secure and strategic way of implementing information governance. I would now like to turn this over to our compliance officer, Reassess, who is here to talk to us about data governance.
Thank you, Tori. So data governance provides for the design and execution of data needs, planning, and data quality assurance in alliance with the informational needs of the organization. This includes data modeling, data mapping, data auditing, data quality control, data quality management, data architecture, and data dictionaries. It promotes information organization and classification. It gives a structured approach to make sure that the organization's data is fit for the required business purposes.
That is so interesting. Okay, so something people confuse a lot is data governance and information governance. Could you explain the difference between the two?
Yeah, sure. Even though there are a couple similarities, data governance and information governance are two different concepts. Data governance is a critical subdomain of informational governance and provides a framework of the intersection of IT, HIM, clinical and operational areas, as well as business associates working together to establish confidence and credibility in the health system's data. It also establishes and integrates a set of rules, policy, guidelines, principles, and standards for managing the health system's highly valuable data assets.
Okay, that makes so much sense. So data governance focuses on the data being used in the healthcare facility as well as standards on how it should be used. And then information governance is used to maximize the value of that information.
Yeah, that's correct.
Could you explain to us how to implement and sustain data governance?
Yeah, so the first step of implementing data governance is to gain executive support by identifying first what our facility is already doing to support data governance. The next step is to engage business stakeholders by meeting either individually or in a group. Through the meetings, our facility will gain support for the data governance program. The next step in implementation is to assess the current state by conducting a capabilities, readiness, and needs assessment and asking questions. Next, we will need to establish the goals and priorities for improvement. The next step is to implement the change. So the organization will need to provide education to leaders and employees related to the needs, benefits, and goals of the program. Once change is successfully implemented, we will then start to see a change in the organizational culture. The last step of implementing data governance is to reassess and measure the impact of change. It's important to develop milestones and celebrate successes.
I like what you said about it being important to celebrate the successes. Sometimes it can be very discouraging for employees to undergo change, and they feel like it's just going to take forever to get used to things. So I think that celebrating successes will definitely help keep up the morale. I would like to say thank you to everyone for joining us today, and especially our guests, Macy and Rihanna.
You're welcome.